Yeah, go to church, find Jesus. Like, I mean, why is everybody so horny here?
Well, you never have to wonder what she's thinking. By that standard, the United States House of Representatives appears to be no different than a fraternity house that you don't want your sister visiting. It's not something you hear every day from a congresswoman, but after the news cycle this week, Lauren Boebert is probably right. Many of the things Eric Swalwell and Tony Gonzalez allegedly did with and to female staffers we cannot repeat here. But they are gone now, pushed out in disgrace. The problem is that there are more, many more allegedly, protected by a taxpayer-funded slush account to pay off accusers in a House Ethics Committee that protects rather than punishes.
Democrat or Republican, even if it's another staffer, a chief of staff, a senior staffer, if you have something, if you've been wronged, absolutely, my door is open and I will listen. And if anonymity is requested, that's what you'll get.
With us now, Republican Congresswoman Lauren Boebert, member of the House Oversight Committee. Nice to see you, ma'am. Few things here. You said that within 2 weeks, you think there's going to be more people named, more names named, more receipts given. Are you prepared to do that now?
Well, there aren't any specifics that I have about colleagues up here. It's just the nature of Washington, D.C. There certainly are activities that you hear that have happened here. I wasn't familiar with any of the Eric Swalwell stories when they were occurring, other than Fang Fang and his corruption with the CCP being compromised there. Kevin McCarthy, when he was Speaker, warned everyone about his position on the Intel Committee. But now, Eric Swalwell does have someone who was a self-proclaimed best friend of his, that he was riding shirtless and on camels with Eric Swalwell in Qatar. And I think we have a particular senator, maybe even others, that need to be asked these questions in detail. I think Ruben Gallego may know more than he is letting on.
Okay, so we're playing pictures of Ruben Gallego right now. There is the other side of this. That's from Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who says Republicans have had their own problems. Certainly they have, Corey Mills, Tony Gonzalez, and others. And she says, well, Republicans only care now because it's a Democrat. Take a listen.
In the Democratic caucus, I think the response was very swift. You see it, I'm sorry, but you see a difference here. We actually held a member of our own party accountable. Frankly, Tony Gonzalez has had this issue in the public for months. The only reason that this is changing in terms of a resignation today is because the Speaker of the House feels like he can play politics with the vote numbers.
Does she have a point?
I don't believe so. When I learned of Tony Gonzalez and his behavior after his staffer set herself on fire and killed herself, presumably because of this extramarital affair that was taking place, I immediately called on him to resign. There have been actions that Republicans have tried to take against other Republicans, and backdoor deals were made.
You did. The Speaker did not, though.
Well, that's
you
the Speaker
did. The
of the
Speaker
House.
did not.
I'm
Same with
Corey
Mills.
So you can't lump me in with Republicans. Here's the truth.
Okay.
The Beltway doesn't want you to hear. Congress isn't broken by accident. It's designed this way. Secret funds, closed door deals, VIP protection for the powerful, a two-tiered system where the elites get their scandals buried while everyday Americans get lectured about rules and others just get a pass for years and despite even scandals that are made very public. I was one of 4 Republicans to force the vote on releasing the Epstein files. I have gone further with other colleagues and I'm forcing the subpoena for the Congressional Slush Fund to be exposed. And I expect to have those documents in my hand within the next couple of weeks with, of course, victims' names redacted. But I have been on the side of this saying this is not a bipartisan issue. And I've been trying to get accountability for quite some time.
Okay. One of the things we do before we have somebody on, you understand, this is sort of go back and look at what they've said in the past. There was George Santos, the member of Congress, who obviously was
I'm sorry, did George Santos sexually assault someone? George Santos did not sexually assault anyone. We are talking about women who have died because of sexual assault.
Hold up. But this is what you said about George Santos. In America, the presumption of innocence ensures that any citizen accused of any crime is considered innocent until proven guilty. George Santos has not been convicted of any crime. Expelling an elected official without due process is an extreme measure and sets a dangerous precedent that I could not support. You now seem to support expelling people without due process and taking away the presumption of innocence. Is that only for cases of sexual assault or harassment?
Well, Congressman McCormick is about to be convicted and will be expelled once that conviction has taken place. This has been through the Ethics Committee. There are 25 charges that she has been found guilty of, and she has stolen your tax dollars, my tax dollars, your viewers' tax dollars.
We're not talking about that,
so that's not just sexual misconduct, but also Eric Swalwell and Tony Gonzalez. We didn't even get the chance to expel them. They snuck out the back door like a couple of slinkies. They ran away from these problems. And now, even worse, they get a tax-funded golden parachute to float away in. They get tens of thousands of dollars every single year for the rest of their life by the taxpayers.
But Congressman,
and that is something that I'm also working to prevent.
No, I understand that. But I think this goes back to this question, is that you made the point with George Santos that people deserve due process. There is a presumption of innocence. Anyone accused of a crime is considered innocent until proven guilty.
Tony Gonzalez
expelling an elected official without due process
for the affair that he had, for the actions that he had with his staffer that led to one
so
of them setting
so if someone
on fire.
apologizes,
he has admitted to this. He has admitted to this. He is not saying that this did not happen.
I agree with you. So, but I'm asking looking forward, though.
So that is not innocent.
I'm asking looking
he has
forward.
Proven his guilt.
I understand that, but I'm asking looking forward.
Sure. We have Eric Swalwell on video. You have women coming forward saying that he drugged and raped them. These are serious allegations.
So accusations. So I just want to be clear.
These are serious claims
because
that are
of
being
accusations,
made, and those are not being flat out denied either. Eric Swalwell said that he had a misstep in judgment, a lapse in judgment, which is so weak and pathetic. But he's saying it was just a lapse in judgment, and that he's sorry to his wife. But I think it's more than expulsion and even a resignation from Congress. He has some serious legal woes in his future.
So you don't worry about what is going to become a witch hunt where people are guilty by accusation alone, a la Me Too.
There were Democrats that were ready to expel Eric Swalwell. And maybe it was because of political reasons. Maybe they saw the jungle primary being a problem and the machine itself said, we got to get rid of this one. He's no longer an asset. He's a liability. But there were Democrats ready and prepared to expel Eric Swalwell. And he resigned before anyone was able to have that debate.
All right. Well, he did indeed. And understandably so, probably. There were more accusations to come. That's why that usually happens. Congresswoman Lauren Boebert, come back to us anytime when you have more information. Thank you.
Leland, thanks so much.
Yeah, always fun.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.